A is for Alcoholic is a program about recovery. My name is John, and I'm an alcoholic.
And my name is Jerry, and I'm an alcoholic.
Join us as we go through the alphabet of alcoholism, one letter at a time.
Here we are once again, Jerry.
Yeah.
Time keeps marching on.
Yeah.
I had kind of a weird week because I hurt my back, and so I was out of work 2 days. Which, I was out of work for like 2 months there, 3 months. So, I mean, and you've been out of work since my birthday.
For 6 months. I talked to my boss today, and she's like, "You've been out of work for 6 months." And I'm like, "Yeah, I have. I have, baby."
But it was just kind of a weird week. And, I think it was I don't know if it was from doing the fucking squats too fast or trying to stretch my, trying to stretch a glute muscle or some shit. I don't know.
Stretching them glutes out, dude. That's a whole other podcast. That's a Dan Savage podcast.
Let me stretch those glutes. So I've been out. I'm going back to work tonight, but it sucks, man. When you hurt your back, it just reminded me of the being fat and hungover and hurting myself and having to call out of work and being well, I can't do anything and I can't move, and it was. And the fear and anxiety that I got from not working was on top of all the pain I was feeling, whether it was in my back or my foot or, so I'd be like, oh God, I'm not making this money. And so this time around, one of the cool things was, I was like, okay, your health is important. You will make more money. You can lose a couple of shifts at the restaurant.
Right.
And you can just rest yourself. I didn't even get to do all my push-ups and squats and fucking crunches this month,
Right.
I was going to bang it out and do 100 every single day. And then it just stopped.
That's a lot. That's a lot to do every day.
That's what my girlfriend said. She said, John, you've been busting your ass every single day.
For 2 months almost now. Because the whole last month you did the slumper sleeper challenge or slumper sleeper. I don't fucking. Yeah. So, man, you've been pushing it to the limit, dude.
Take it to the limit. Is that the Scarface song?
I think so. It is. Yeah.
Edge.
I was thinking that take it to the limit one more time. Is that who's that?
That's
Eddie Money? It is the Eagles.
It is.
Fuck.
But yeah, so it's been a weird week, and just sort of out of sorts the last couple of days. That's sort of milling about the house that, I think because, and this because you've been quarantined and
I do a lot of milling,
and I was just like, fuck, but I can't move. And that was the frustrating thing.
Yeah.
And just being like, ow, my back hurts. Well, I got to ice it, heat it, rest it, stretch it. And so I did a yoga thing, and that's all I can do. But it was so much better than, even though it reminded me of the drunk injuries that I'd had in the past. I didn't have all that extra compounded worry and anxiety.
Yeah.
And depression from maybe drinking on top of it or trying to not drink because I'm trying to heal myself or whatever. So
interesting.
It was.
It's interesting because it feels like almost for all that time you spent drinking, your mind was conditioned to accompany the pain of an injury with all of that emotional pain as well. And now that it's lacking, you're like, something's missing. Do you know what I mean?
yes.
What is missing? Oh, right. It's shame and the emotional hangover. Yeah, that is funny. I throw my back out in my sleep. I do it all the time.
How are you? You need to get some new pillows or something.
I sleep like a wow man, dude. But you want to hear something funny, and not to get too political again, but I was given a My Pillow for Christmas a few years ago, and I don't like it. It's super uncomfortable. But yesterday I needed a pillow to sit on in the garage on my chair because my chair is too hard and it hurts my back. So I flat out used the My Pillow. So now I fart in the My Pillow, and that's my story.
I had the My Pillows. I got rid of them. I did.
Recovery podcast right here.
They're in the trunk of the car. I figure maybe it might be some use if I'm out in the wild or something like that. I don't know.
It could be My Pillows though. Not
know.
The My Pillow. Could be the pillows I own are very flat. They're very fucked up.
crushed or shaved bamboo, man. I'm telling you, look into it.
Look into it. I'm gonna do some research, some bamboo research.
Changed my
But
life.
yeah, I mean, I throw my back out a lot, so I'm really familiar with that. I can very much relate to that. I throw my back out where I can't go to work, and it comes from painting and tattooing. And just I walked with a hunch for most of my life. I had such bad posture because I had such bad self-esteem that I'd want to roll up the wall, you know. So, yeah,
How about that?
Yeah, I had a horrible hunch for like all through high school. I had bad acne and a hunch in high school. I was killing it, dude. I was killing it.
It's just interesting. The whole, like, especially you talk about the shame and having bad self-esteem and how all these things affect you physically.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with it. It's like, oh, it hurts, it'll pass. And that's something that I would live in the pain for like every moment of it and be so angry at it and at myself. So
at least came from
other than that,
improving your life, you know. This pain came from you trying to make an improvement instead of you trying to, you know, make it worse.
And it also has taught me like, oh, okay, so I didn't complete my quote unquote challenge. It's like, well, I got plenty of time to complete another challenge and do something else. And it's all about the long term rather than the short term gain.
Right.
You know,
supposed
short term gain.
Right. Because if you do 100 a day for a month and then stop, you don't really gain much. 25 a day for killing it.
Right. So that's something to think about.
Think about it.
I did want to say something else too, is like, I wanted to say thank you to our patrons on Patreon again.
Yeah.
And I know that some folks, it's always hard, like trying to convince somebody to give you money for something. Trust me, I know that. I'm on the internet a lot too. And I just wanted to say thank you. And I always love, like, even the sweet messages when people go, you know what, times are tight right now, and I'm going to have to pull, like, I'll get these messages from people and say, like, I'm going to have to pull my money, but as soon as something comes up, I'm going to give you guys, I really appreciate it. You're worth every dollar. Like, I get a lot of these things when people are just, you know, they're like dropping from like $5 to $1 or whatever. So
the fact that anybody wants to give us $1 for anything is fucking man. Yeah.
Yeah. So it helps us with all of the costs of you know, the monthly costs, and the since fucking the Apple update destroyed our free audio software. We had to both buy this program. Anyhow, I just wanted to say thank you to you guys. So with that preamble, or how was your week? How are you doing?
Boom, pretty good. Been painting all week. We've been working on painting this person's house as well with social distancing and masks, which is kind of weird, but everything's weird right now. But other than that, everything's good. I've been, just mostly making art and playing some video games and working out and running and meandering, doing some milling around the house, you know, adjusting all my knickknacks, walking up and be like, this needs a quarter turn to the right. Yep. Going up, adjusting the TV a little, talking and just being like, well, how's your day? You know, hey, not much. I've finished John Barleycorn on audiobook.
Yes.
Gonna talk about John Redcorn today.
We are. And before we do, I have another question. Do you think would anyone out there, this is a question for you, Jerry, and also for our listeners, would anyone out there be interested if we had a Twitch stream? Do you think anybody would watch a live stream?
Gonna play together, I imagine, would just be us hanging out. You and I don't really play the same games though.
Well, I mean, we could find a game. We could find a couple of games. There could be
we probably could
do a Twitch stream where we go around and like set up some meetings for folks in the game.
Meetings. Oh my god.
I don't know.
Play GTA 5 and talking about the fucking big book. Yeah, dude.
I don't know I don't know if that's
I mean, it'd be fun. I like playing games. We just do a World of Warcraft AA meeting. Like just a Minotaur talking about his rock bottom and shit.
Basically, yeah, man, waking up in the barn. But I don't know. Maybe Fallout, you could build like a church basement or something like that.
Good, maybe, yeah.
Machines, styrofoam cups. So just a thought, if anybody out there would be interested in watching us play video games, let me know.
Give us the feedback. Yeah, that would be pretty funny. I mean, there are some fun games. We can figure it out.
Today on the big program, we're gonna talk. J is for Jack London's John Barleycorn.
I kept calling it John Redcorn. I made the joke earlier. I was like, Megan, I'm reading John Redcorn.
That's from that's the Native American from King of the Hill, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
John Redcorn.
Jack London's John Barleycorn. So I want to give you. So we're not really going to do a play-by-play book review here, because I read it and then I just listened to it over the last couple of days that my back was out, and I found it far more obnoxious and annoying than I did the first time I read it.
It's pretty funny because I had texted you, and I'm very reactionary. This is part of my personality, but I texted you. I'm like, thanks, John. You ruined Jack London for me. I don't know if it's by verbatim that, but I was just like, man, now Jack London's ruined for me, because I loved reading his books when I was a kid. Like, I loved Call of the Wild. It was like I first read that when I was like 13, and I was like, damn, I want to have adventures. And then I read this, and I was like, damn, dude, you're having a hard ass time. Damn.
Right. So a little history on Jack London. He lived from 1876 to 1916. He was he was 60, which I guess is pretty decent for that time of
It's a good run.
That's a good run for that time period. And so he died when he died, he had dysentery, he had uremia, which is basically kidney failure.
Yep.
So he died an alcoholic. He died of late stage alcoholism. It says right up on the Wikipedia page. And you know, there's some other. He was a socialist. He was also pro eugenics. There's some other weird shit, you know. But
he's a little racist.
So it was
racist. So
the book has got some serious racism in it. It's got some serious sexism in it.
Oh yeah.
It's definitely of its time. Can we say?
That's a good way to put it, right? Because it fits in with time. I mean, those ideas, they were not extremist ideas. That was just normal. That was, at least as far as the exhausting research I've done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's just reading it, it was the racism and the sexism in this book is very like, nonchalant. Wow. Right? Yeah. As that's just accepted. But so he wrote this book, John Barleycorn. It was published 3 years before his death. So it was published in 1913. And the subtitle, is that what you call it? Like the subheader is what? And is it? I think it's called an alcoholic memoir or something like that. Yeah. John Barleycorn, Alcoholic Memoir.
Alcoholic Memoirs. Yeah.
So I thought it would be interesting to talk about this book because it was, it was written. Well, I'm gonna feel bad because it was written 20 years before AA was a thing. Yeah. AA was like 1933 or 1937.
Yeah, somewhere in
something there. Like that. So somewhere in there it developed or whatever, became a thing. So as far as my understanding of the history of that time in America, if you had alcoholism, they just locked you away. And locking you away, basically you were already far too gone at that point, right? They would just throw you in an insane asylum. You would go crazy. You would die. They would probably put you on some kind of drugs, and that was it. Like it was just not. It was an incurable disease.
Yes. Yeah.
So I thought that this would be interesting to kind of just look at it from that perspective over 100 years ago, that there was no cure for this. And, or at least, it was either you got it or you didn't. You were an alcoholic and you died, or you didn't. And so he talks about lots and lots of his drinking. I'm assuming if he wrote it in those last days or the last years of his life. But he talks about being a child in this book. He talks about being a teenager, and it kind of like goes into his 20s. And basically and correct me if I'm wrong, I think I said this to you last night, it's just like a 220-page drunkalogue.
Yep. I mean, that's what it reads like to me, because there's no way of, I don't know. There's just no, it just doesn't end. Do you know what I'm saying? There's no change. It doesn't.
Right.
Yeah, I can't find the word
There's
right now
no,
for it, but
there's
you know
no,
what I'm
there's
saying.
no
No conclusion.
change.
Yeah.
There's no conclusion. There's no what it's like now. There's
That's
just
what I
how
wanted
it
to
was,
say. Yeah.
right?
Just how it was. Nothing really changed. Some things changed, but then, yeah. I mean, the book starts with him writing back from voting for women's rights to vote, because in his mind, he's like, if women get the right to vote, then they will pass prohibition, and then I'll never have to drink again. And he's fucking loaded. He's like riding his horseback, pleasantly jingled.
Yes, I was pleasantly jingled. Is that, or tingled?
Yeah.
Jingled?
Jingled.
Pleasantly jingled.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the throughout the entire book too, he's always blaming someone else.
Yeah.
It's always alcohol is so prevalent. So if we can make it less prevalent, I'm writing this for the young men, for the young boys who are coming up behind me. And this thing that some are affected and some just aren't. And he spends most of the book trying to convince the reader that he's not an alcoholic.
Yeah, I loved it.
I
only loved it in the sense like, dude, you're a fucking alcoholic, bro. It's all right. Yeah. So his reasoning is that if alcohol is not available, alcoholics will not become alcoholics, which makes sense. But then I would imagine, in my reasoning, I think a person with an addictive personality will just find a new thing to hook onto that potentially could be destructive to their life.
Yeah. And in the early days of his life, he talks about being a kid and being a teenager and even into his 20s, he's got a sweet tooth. He loves candy.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And I'm like, all this shit is there. He's just like, I went long periods of not drinking. Matter of fact, I was on a boat and I didn't drink for 6 months, and there was booze on the boat. And then he's like, but it was booze I hated though. So, it's like me and my alcoholism. If you had put me on a boat for red wine, I could probably go without drinking the red wine until I had to drink it. You know what I mean? I don't know, man, because I hated red wine, but I just, it's a lot of denial, and it's a lot of like him reasoning with himself, and it bums me out, but because I really did like him as an author, and I still do, and I know we shouldn't hold these people to above their station in life because they're human beings and they're full of fault and mistake, but to read all the fault and mistake just like so flagrantly put out there, do you know what I mean? Like, he's like, how many conversations have I had with people who I know are like just like me, and they're like, hey, I'm not one of those alcoholics though that falls down in the street or is homeless. I'm not homeless. And that's basically what he's doing through this entire book, is just, well, not one of those dipsomaniacs. It has to be carried out of the bar. And in the next chapter, he's like, so I got carried out of a bar, and I'm like, damn, dude, like.
Yeah. I mean, everything. It's actually, another little funny note is that it's the very first time that the phrase pink elephants is ever written. But yes, he talks about, he's constantly contradicting himself about those things. Like, I wouldn't get thrown out of a bar, but then I'd get thrown out of a bar. I didn't need the drink, but then I was there with the drink again. Like, you could literally, this is the opposite of everything in AA. This is like, basically, I feel like Bill Wilson read this and went, okay, we need to actually fix these things.
Yeah.
These are problems.
Yeah, I can see that. That's pretty funny.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you could pull out some of the steps from this, I think. But there's just so much, denial and contradiction. And, you talk about the traveling, right? So Jack London was an adventurer, and he talks very much about wanting to be an adventurer and wanting to go and not just toil away in whatever factory for 12 hours a day, and do those, and all these things. And what adventuring is traveling. a few times in this book, at least a couple, traveling, it means going to a different geographical area to try again.
I love
And
how
so-
you're taking this apart and looking at it, because I didn't even think about Jack London trying to do geographicals constantly.
Motherfucker was doing geographicals his whole life.
Yeah, like back in 1892, before
Yep.
planes. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
he's on a schooner, up to his fucking ankles, up to his knees in dead fish, being like, it'll be different this time on this boat.
Basically, I mean, there's at least one where he gets into some kind of altercation. He gets into a bar fight, and the next day they're like off to something else because he has like destroyed some relationship, or there's been some problem that he has to get away from. And he's like, well, I'll just get on this other boat and go to Benicia or whatever else, or to the tropics at one point, or he's in Australia at one point too. So he's going all over the place.
Right.
And as long as you keep moving, nobody can, really hold you accountable for your actions. As long as, to everybody else, it's just new material, and you're doing the same old shit.
There's that part of the book too, where they're on a boat and they're like on a fishing crew or something, and they stop in Japan and they want to go see all these hanging gardens and all this stuff, and they end up just getting fucked up for 5 days and missing out on all of it. And I think that was his example of like how alcohol has affected him in a detrimental way. But then within that same passage, he's like, yeah, but we had great fun though. So-and-so took all his clothes off and rolled around in the horse shit in the mud, and fucking we had to like wrestle him back onto the boat. And he's like, yeah, I missed out on seeing all that stuff, and that's a bummer, but I had a blast though, like broke my finger and had a fucking blast. And it's so weird, those two ideas existing at the same time. It's that cognitive dissonance, two opposing ideas, two opposing concepts. And I think he really I think he wanted to stop and had no resource to stop. Now, I don't want to say that AA would solve all his problems, but I think being around other people who wanted to stop, like something similar, you know what I mean? I don't want to sit here and be like, we're the AA podcast, this is the end all be all, but I really feel like if he had another person who was going through his shit, you know what I mean? And was just talking real, another chesty man was just talking real to him, I
Does he use that phrase in there?
Oh God, dude, the word chesty is in this book like hundreds of times. Like,
but
that's his
you're right.
version. Masculinity is chesty.
Having, I saw some quote or something online. It said you can't change. You can't change the people you're around, but you can change the people you're around.
Yeah.
Basically, I mean, you can't change people, but you can, you can hang out with a different group.
Better people, yeah.
Yeah. And maybe that's. I mean, I think that's definitely true.
Yeah.
But who were the people that he continually sought out? Were fucking shifty pirates and
drunks and shit, which makes sense. Like I can relate to his story. I feel like he was on the verge of it the whole time. The verge of being like, this is not working. I'm just going to stop for a little while. And then somebody would come visit him. Hey, Jack, how's it going? And then he'd go off on another binge. It just seems like the whole book was him stopping binges, starting binges, or saying alcohol is horrible. I'm not the problem. Alcohol. I saw a lot of that too, which just frustrated me for him. I was like, no, dude, you're the fucking problem. You're over there fucking manhandling fucking bags of 1842 taffy or whatever. Like, dude, you're the problem,
right?
Dude. Yeah.
And that was the funny thing too about candy. And I was like, dude, I used to eat the fuck out of candy.
So did I.
So there's this huge. So he's constantly doing geographics. He had a sweet tooth that lingered well into his adulthood.
Right.
He was constantly blaming society, the ubiquitousness of alcohol in it. If I could just get somebody else to vote for prohibition, then everything will be fine. If I could just get somebody else to do something, everything will be fine. It's not within my control. That I am, well, he's almost there in the first step, that he's almost saying that he's powerless over alcohol, but then in the next breath he'll be like, but I am not of alcoholic stature. I drink with gentlemen or so, I drink
Right.
like a gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
but
a great point. That is a great point.
the
Just the powerlessness, and just in my mind, I thought about him. He is basically saying, I am powerless over alcohol. If it is not accessible to me, I will not drink it. But then he's like you said, he's like, I'm not an alcoholic. I have power over alcohol. It's like two different ideas, which of course he's a human being. So of course he's always going to be contradicting himself. The concept of white logic is really interesting to me.
So how did you perceive white logic?
I thought of it as like alcoholic depression or like nihilism, or that he talks a lot about that, that it's just a void and there's really no point in it and it's just pointless. I think the white logic is what leads him to fall when he falls off that boat to just be taken out by the fucking undertow at one point. I took the white logic as like an alcoholic depression,
Yeah.
or like a prevalent depression that's already there that's been compounded by alcoholism. That's how I took it. What do you think?
Well, yeah. So he mentions it early on, I think, like in the first chapter, and then you don't really hear about it until the last like 4 or 5 chapters, where the book takes a shift in tone. So like in the last 4 or 5 chapters, he starts talking about like, at this point now it's less adventuring and it's more about dinner parties and him doing that, but it's much more philosophical. He starts quoting Japanese poets, and it's all this deep long soliloquies about alcoholism and about being addicted and about dealing with and it is that alcoholic depression and that sort of that ennui and that white logic is you become. I know that I would embody the alcohol in a way where I was in love with the misery of it even as much as I hated it and it was painful. He romanticized the fuck out of it, but I mean but in those last few chapters, it's like, it's all very flowery language and it's very deep about these things. And he's talking about big, broad concepts of the human existence and human endeavor and all these different things. And so, yes, I think alcoholic depression is definitely like, oh, well, nothing matters. So I'll just let myself get whisked away by the waves, and whatever happens, because that's what it was meant to be. And kind of giving away your agency in life to alcohol.
Yeah.
Which is really, on this end of it, it's like fucking sad.
Yes. Well, at this point, he's all busted up, from his adventure, and he's had like every fucking exotic disease you can get.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like he really has, and he's just like fucked. I'm assuming his body's fucked up, like his legs and back are all fucked up, and he can't pee right or sit down right, because he got a dancing tsetse disease or some shit. And he's just drinking. I think he's honestly just sitting in his house getting fucking loaded. And maybe I read on the Wikipedia or somewhere, but I had read that the real cause of his death was actually, the actual cause of his death was a morphine overdose, right? Did you read this too?
Yes.
But they said it was uremia because he was suffering from kidney failure. And so I don't want to say theorized, but I guess they theorized that he may have committed suicide through a morphine, because he mentioned suicide, the idea of dying, letting go. It happens a couple times in the book, And what do us alcoholics are pretty prone to suicide, I'd say, yeah. Yeah.
And I think that we talk about alcoholism oftentimes, you and I, as I think we've said, like, it's sort of suicide on the installment plan. I think we've both heard that phrase.
Yeah, I love that concept, though.
Slow death. And I think at some point, I know for me, I would wish myself dead. I know for me, in those moments, not with ever wanting to act on it or to be proactive about my suicide, but if it happens, it happens. And I might as well have another drink, and this might be
the last one.
It might be the last one. Maybe God, I hope I don't fucking wake up tomorrow. How many times have you said?
Yeah. Dude, oh, quite a bit. And not even joking, like for real. Like, I hope this is it. Like, I hope everything shuts down tonight because I'm fucking done. I'm done. I'm too afraid to do it by my own hand, you know? And I wonder if that's where Jack was at the end, you know?
Well,
all these Jacks, man. We should talk about Kerouac at one point too, but
I'm gonna get there. I have something to say about him too. So there's the alcoholic death. So I think that at the end you go like, well, maybe you don't go, I'm going to end it all because I know that if I take too much morphine, I'm going to die. But the pain is so bad that you're like, I might as well take twice as much as I usually do because I just want the pain to go away. And honestly, for me, that's what it was. Truly, I didn't want to kill myself. I didn't want to die. I just wanted the pain to go away. And that's why I was drinking in the first place. So yes and no. So yes, of course he committed suicide on some level. I mean, he was the one taking the morphine. He wasn't, incapacitated so much that he was being injected with it.
Right.
So, I mean, I think that's something to be said, that there's that level of like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and let nature take its course if it must, but I'm going to take some more morphine.
Yeah. Like I know what's going to happen, but let's just see what happens.
So I think that's the same thing too. Like we've talked about, well, would you ever drink again? And go, well, no, I kind of know what's going to happen. Like, well, maybe I could make it this time. And you're like, well,
no.
For how long?
For how long? That's a really great concept. For how long? Maybe you could make it this time, but for how long? Because the eventuality is that you just end up where you were before. We talked a number of times, and I know that we kind of circle back around to it, but I mean, where do you end up? What makes you think the second time is going to be different, you know?
It's never been different before. Even when I didn't intentionally quit. Yeah. There were a couple times where I had intentions and I quit for like a month here, or I've got one time I quit for 2 months. And as soon as those 2 months were over, like I couldn't wait. I was counting down the fucking days. It was a punishment, right?
Right. Like you just click. I remember when you quit for that month because the doctor told you to quit. I said he was a fucking quack. Because I was drunk. I was drunk as shit. And I was like, get in the fucking hole with me. Get in the hole. We're all in this hole, John. We're all drunk. What are you doing being not in the hole? Get drunk with us. And you're like, I can't do. My doctor said, you know, I'm not doing too great and this will help me out. So I'm going to take a month off. And I'm like, that doc is a fucking quack. You saw him in the basement of the fucking Pike Marketplace or whatever.
I did.
Dude. Yeah. And I was like, well, I got to go to a normal doctor in a normal doctor's office. You got to go to Pike's Place Market, which is next to the flower vendor and the dude who throws fish.
Basically, he was. Yeah. He was right across from the guy who throws fish.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Yeah. But they were absolutely right. They're like, yo, you're fucking redlining your kidney. You're redlining your kidneys. You're redlining your liver. Like,
you gotta stop.
Gotta stop.
So I think that he probably had more of a hand in his death than they say. I would. What's the phrase? Beg to guess. I would
beg to differ,
venture. I would venture to guess.
Venture to guess. That two dudes. Two dudes in their 40s in 2020 during a pandemic are talking about Jack London committing suicide in 1916.
1916.
He would have been like flying cars.
I think they just did a test for the first flying car in Japan. Not that that's anything, but I just read. I saw some article.
That's such a horrible. I know we're going there, but that's flying cars is an awful idea. Don't. We can barely drive fucking cars. No flying cars. Flying bikes, though. That'd be rad. No seatbelts.
No seatbelts. So you bring up Jack Kerouac, and I want to bring up, I'm reading Jack London, and there's this, one of the other themes is working long hours, working menial tasks, working shit jobs. I think there's another, there's a book called Factotum, and what is Factotum? Factotum is, what is the meaning of that word?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Well, so you know who wrote Factotum, right?
Yeah, it's Bukowski. I read Factotum. Yeah.
So I keep hearing all these themes that remind me of Jack Kerouac and remind me of Bukowski. With Kerouac, it was more like wanting adventure and wanting excitement and all that stuff, right? And so that was something I am certain that both of these guys read Jack London.
They must have. I mean, especially Kerouac. Kerouac absolutely read Jack London because Kerouac had that London like, but instead, that spirit. Let's get out there and see and have adventures and
world and
take a big bite out of fucking life and the world. But with Kerouac though, he was like, let's go see the cities and where the wild people are, and like, let's go hang out with people of color because I was raised, around white people in Connecticut and London was like, let's get out in the woods and fucking fight wolves. And Bukowski was like, I'll just keep doing this shit so I can drink. Do you know what I mean? Because I think about Bukowski in the post office working, and he just did it so he could just continue getting loaded. That's all it was. I mean, it almost like he embraced the menial tasks just because it made it more morose for him.
So a factotum, which is a book by Bukowski that I really enjoyed. A person as a handyman or servant employed to do all kinds of work around the house, or an employee or official having many different responsibilities. So, but basically there was this notion all throughout the beginning part of John Barleycorn, where he talks about working in factories and how he's like, I never want to work. I want to get paid for using my brain and not my body. My body is worn out. And the shortest day that I ever worked there was 10 hours. And some days I wouldn't even be able to read or write. And I would work 20 hours a day straight and all this stuff. And so, and I hear the same shit from Bukowski about working the boring jobs. And you're right. He was in it just to kind of like, I just want to make the money so I can drink.
Yeah.
And leave me alone. And Bukowski almost wanted to live like a small life.
He did. He wanted a little tiny life, and then he's like, "The writing thing is paying off," And so he kept writing. Women will sleep with me if I keep writing. Then I can lie about it. Yeah. I noticed about Jack London too. Him talking about these menial jobs, factory jobs, and doing shit over and over again for long hours and low pay. I think it also ties into not only his sense of adventure and wanting to be out there and experience things, but I think it ties into his politics. I think a lot of it has to do with socialism as well. Like the idea of having to labor to do these menial labors, you know what I mean? And be treated like shit by your uppers. I mean, because he goes into the whole thing about how the guy was going to train him to be an electrician, but they were just fucking him over. They were just fucking with him. And so he was like, well, I'm going back out to the oyster pirates or whatever, It's like, kiss my ass. I'm going to go hang out with one-legged Sally and French Johnny,
Basically.
Yeah. I think that tied into socialism, which I appreciate as, politics, whatever. But, I appreciate seeing the political aspect of his thought process. That interests me. Seeing that he was kind of a progressive kind of dude in some aspects, but also really regressive because of the time he was raised and the ideals he was raised with as a person, Very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was a big lover of nature, obviously.
Yeah.
He was an animal rights activist. And I live very, very close to Jack London State Park.
I wanted to bring that up because you're really close to his estate, I believe.
Yes. So I've been up there a few times. I've seen the Wolf House, which is the house that burned down. Not because, and I wanted to look that up because I was like, did he get fucking drunk and like drop a cigarette or something? Like that was.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it wasn't even built yet. They hadn't moved in. So they say maybe it was like oil soaked rags or probably some shit like that from varnish or something like that. But I live very, very close there. And so it's really cool. Like there's another part of it called Pig Palace where he had all his pigs. So it's like this very weird, it's just a pig enclosure. I mean, there's no pigs there anymore. Everything is just empty. But you can go walk around in there and it's gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful. And so I think
his home is gone completely. Like it burned down after he died, or
it burned down before they moved in. It's still there. The remains are still there. You can go see the burned down house, but they had never moved in. And his wife moved into a little house, I guess, or maybe they lived on something called the Beauty Ranch there too. And so she lived there for like until 1955 when she died. Charmaine. And so she ended up.
He had a home in Sonoma, or he did.
He did. No, he did for sure. He had a home. He had acres. He was just building another bigger, better home that
better
he
home, and it burned
lost.
down. Okay, that's clear
Yeah.
for me.
But I would highly suggest to anybody who's in Sonoma County that they go to Jack London State Park. It's beautiful. It's cool. If you get past, the burned down house and all the other stuff, I've been to the top and back, and it's really beautiful. So I think that, that's something I don't know the full scope of the man. I'm just, we're more talking about his attitude toward alcohol.
Yes. Right.
But he was a lover of nature, and thank God that he had saved these, or bought and kept, and that his family and his estate had passed them on and given them to the state to keep as a national park.
It's really interesting to think of him. Yeah, and I don't want to judge this entire man by this one book. I just want to judge this, not even judge, but just give my perspective on this book and my perspective on him during these periods of time and his approach to alcoholism, right? Him as a person, I don't know. I'd have to read a biography on him. But I think it's very interesting you bringing up him being a lover of nature, being out with all this acreage, being a conservationist, being a sailor. And he's out there in these giant, vast spaces and clearly understanding his size in the world. Like that he's not this big. Do you know what I mean? Because when you're on the ocean, all you see is the ocean, and you realize, oh my God, I am insignificant. And you think that, or even out in the woods, and you're like, there are tons of powers out here greater than me. You'd think at that point, you'd start realizing, oh, this isn't all about me. This isn't all about my drinking. Do you know what I mean? Like this is something bigger than that. But I guess it's when you're not trying to make that connection, it must be difficult to make, if you're not actively trying to make that connection.
He was also very young. He was a very young man, and he was drunk most of the time, even when he was saying, I didn't drink for 47 days. And you're like, well, that's great, Jack.
Shit. Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. And, or you're thinking about it because you're counting the days,
you're counting the fucking days, Jack.
Or, here's another one. He would talk about how he had all these, I had rules for my drinking. I had rules for my drinking. I would write my 1,000 words, and then near the end, he's like, I couldn't even finish my 1,000 words without drinking. So I would finish 500.
500. Yeah, exactly. And you're like, dude, come on now. Like, that's not alcohol's fault, dude.
Yeah.
It's not that's not because it was readily available to you. Like what, I guess his idea would be like, you can just go somewhere and dry out. But then as soon as you get back into town, it's all excuses. Like, well, I want to do the things that men do. There's a lot of masculinity in this book, right?
Yeah, so I want to talk about that too.
I need to be at the places men are. So I need to go get fucking shit can blind drunk.
Because that's what men do.
I didn't think, he says, I'm sorry, I'm going to let you get your point. But he's like, alcohol tasted horrible to me. I didn't like it. And I was like, yeah, dude, I didn't like it either. I didn't. I thought whiskey tasted like shit. I thought beer tasted horrible. I never liked the taste of it. That's why I would mix it. And he even talks about cocktails and mixing it with something to make it palatable,
Well, he said that a lot too, but I hated the taste, and I only drank it to make. There was it was so fraught with denial and contradiction about alcoholism. And again, I'm not judging this man, but like, God damn, Jack.
Damn you, John Redcorn. You're Joseph's father.
And so it would just blow my mind. I didn't like the taste, but we drank it for 5 days straight.
Right.
Or, I never liked the taste, or I wasn't addicted, he would always say, or I had no need for this stuff. I only wanted it because it was sociable, or I only wanted it because it was what was done. And so this is a perfect example of the toxic masculinity that often revolves around alcohol and alcoholism. And how as a young man, and we're talking young man, like I think at some point he's like 15, 16 years old, and he learns how to drink, and he learns what it means to buy somebody else a drink. And he goes, well, I got to drink as much as this person. And, this is where men do business, and this is where men do deals. And
that was
all this stuff about me, though. Yeah. Proving yourself to another person, proving yourself to the pirates of the fucking Oyster Bay or whatever.
The oyster pirates. Yeah. They just go steal oysters. Like, yo, up them fucking oysters, B.
Basically, I think so. That was the gist I got. I haven't done history on oyster
Mm.
pirates, but go
him
ahead.
learning him learning the rules around drinking in a bar was interesting to me though, because I remember learning the rules around drinking in a bar. The pomp and circumstance of drinking in a bar, you know what I mean? All this stuff that goes with, well, if I buy you around, you buy me around, I buy you around, you know what I mean? Like learning those kind of
Mhm.
unspoken ritual of drinking in a bar interested me, because I recall doing that, like growing up and going to bars and being like, oh right, well, and I did a lot of it with you, actually. You know, it's so
Mhm.
funny that we do this, because I did learn a lot of the bar rules with you, and you learned them with me. And then you'd pass that knowledge on to me, and then I'd tell you, well, what do you think of this? You know? Yeah.
Right? Having to like navigate these little like weird social
Right.
interactions and
And you'd
but
like
he
lean over and be like, ask for well whiskey, it's cheaper. And I'd be like, oh, you're right. If I don't say a name of whiskey, get more whiskey if I just say what's in the well, you know? Yeah.
um he talks about there's a lot about bartender worship and
Dude, and this is
he
interesting coming from you, man. Yeah. hmm Your
so as a
perspective.
bartender, yes, there's a certain level. When I was a bartender, um it was all about ego and it was all about like being in
Yeah, it
control of the booth.
was.
It was all
That's
about
so
that.
fucking fun.
And so but he would just watch the bartender and one of the things about the bartender would buy a drink for you and then the guy was like buying the bartender a drink and he's like, why is the guy buying the bartender a drink? The bartender has access to all the booze and all
Mhm.
these different things, and there it is, the bartender's drinking his 10-cent whiskey while we're drinking 5-cent whiskey, and
Yeah.
all these different things, but he just loved the bartender and this whole
Yeah.
idea of how they would have a tab for you and what a source of pride it was to have a tab run for you, that you were
Yeah.
trusted in a saloon to have a
hmm
bartender run you a tab because you were a
hmm
trustworthy fellow to have. And he's like, the guy next to him is like, look at all those pages of money that he owes this guy. Like that
Yeah.
was something cool to be proud of. um
Yeah. That's the bartender worship is a very interesting thing. And it's come up between us during our drinking days where you would say, we need to go to this bar because so and so works there. And I'm like,
mhm.
who's so and so? And you're like, dude, he's fucking badass bartender. He's got all these accolades. You know what? He's somebody I really
Yeah.
admire as a bartender. And to me, he was just a dude who'd bring me Jim Beam, and I'd give him money and say thank you for the Jim Beam. But to you, he had a different significance because you worked within the
Mhm.
industry. You know.
Right.
hmm
It's true. It's true. It's funny because you and I would go out to drink and you'd get your Beam and Coke and I'd be like,
hmm
yeah, let me get a Hemingway daiquiri or a
Oh
Pegu
yeah.
Club or
Does that come in a hollowed out pineapple? You know, or some weird shit. You know,
Mhm.
smoked maraschino cherries, and I'm just like, what do you
Mhm.
have in the well? Is there beam in the well?
Mhm.
All right. And so it made me think of you when I was reading this, and just you being a bartender and having people look up to you because you're the guy with the drinks. Yeah, like at the end of the night, you determine who drinks. And then you have like your bouncers who determine who doesn't get to stay and drink anymore. And do you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like there
Yeah.
is that does feed the ego. There is definitely a lot of like I've been cut off because the bartender didn't like me and I was not drunk. You know what I mean? I mean, like, at
Mhm.
least in my opinion, I wasn't drunk. You hear the alcoholic
Right.
coming out again? I
Mhm.
wasn't drunk, man. I just peed myself a little.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not drunk. And it too, it's yeah, the drunks never know how badly they're behaving.
Right.
They
I
just
think
don't.
one of these podcasts we should talk about your experiences as a bartender, at least from
Sure.
your end of the bar as an alcoholic and a bartender would be very interesting.
Sure.
I know
Absolutely.
it.
Um, I think and it was funny because as an alcoholic and somebody who drank to fucking black out,
Yeah.
you would think that I would not abuse other bartenders, but that didn't stop me.
You guys all abuse each other. You guys were the worst alcoholics of the bunch of fucking bartenders. You guys were
Basically.
like blind drunk constantly, and you guys were either sleeping with each other or abusing each other. I admired it. See, when I was drinking, I really admired it. I was like, man,
Hmm. I
I
want to
want to
be
hang out.
part of this
I
club.
was
Yeah.
tattooing, which apparently is a cool job, and I wanted to be a bartender. I was like,
Hmm.
dang, I want to work till I'm gonna get drunk at 8 in the morning because that's when my shift ends. Like,
Right.
yeah,
But so the thing too was all of the really toxic masculinity and the amount of the equating drinking to strength, the equating the volume of drinking to your worth as a man.
Right.
And he talked a lot about that. And that was something that, and also that it was social. I had to do it because it was social. It was the only place where I could socialize.
Right.
And, again, I think if, there had been a meeting available, maybe Jack London might have had somewhere else to go.
Might have,
to
70, 75 maybe.
But I think that was definitely something that I was taught, by the company I kept, but also by the heroes I had and the books I read, and Hunter S. Thompson, Bukowski, and, at this point, Jack London. But he seems like the seed for all of these other authors.
Yeah.
Because he was one of the very first, I don't want to say very, very first, but you don't really hear, this is when, America's history is all kinds of fucked up. But
yes, it is.
At this point, talking about drinking and adventuring and this sort of the rugged idealism of an American man, this seems like the seed for Jack Kerouac and Hunter S. Thompson, and
it is.
There's tons of other authors that I'm not thinking of, probably Henry Miller and people who came after him.
Right. They are adolescent ideas read by adolescents. Do you know what I mean? Like, like what London is talking about are very adolescent ideas, and because he was an adolescent when he experienced them, and then you have young men who are adolescents reading, because they give you White Fang and they give you Call of the Wild to read when you're a kid. And you read these adolescent ideas, and then you never outgrow them. You know what I mean? You just kind of stay in that arrested development. Like, just think like a fucking 14-year-old your whole life. It's awful. I don't want to think like a 14-year-old. Yeah.
No, and that was something that I learned in the program was they would say, somebody told me once, when you first begin drinking alcoholically, and if you continue,
stop, right?
That's where you stop with your emotional development, right? So if I started at like 16 or 17 until I was 38, like I was 17 years old in my head.
Yeah.
Until my body couldn't handle it anymore. Right?
Feels like you're not learning anything new, right? You're not retaining the knowledge you need to be that trial and error knowledge of learning. Because everybody can have a plan, but at the end of the day, life is all trial and error. Like you make a mistake, you learn from the mistake. But if you're getting fucking loaded, it's almost like you just blank slate it constantly. You learn from the mistake, but then you wake up with a whole new. You just like reboot. You wake up and you're like, that mistake wasn't learned from. I don't remember it. I don't learn from it. So yeah, you just kind of stay in stasis, and then you end up writing a bunch of books like Hunter S. Thompson or Jack London or Jack Kerouac or fucking Bukowski. All these guys we read that gave us this, they sold us a really weird bill of sale, man. And I'm not blaming them for my alcoholism. I'm just saying like I should have realized that all this shit was adolescent fantasy when I was reading it. And I didn't. And now that I'm older, I'm like, well, that's just like almost like kid stuff, like, yeah, it's cool. Like it's wild shit, but it just feels like what teenagers tell each other so they think they're cool,
It really does anymore. And I don't want to discount these people.
No, I don't either. You sold all your Bukowski books, right?
I did. I sold most of them. I have I don't think I ever had. I sold that one too. The only one I didn't sell was the one that I haven't read, which is Ham on Rye, about his childhood. But yeah, so I sold it, and even like the Hunter S. Thompson stuff, like I used to revere these people, and it's not that I don't anymore. I have Hunter S. Thompson and Bukowski's words tattooed on my body.
Yeah, you do.
Thank you very much.
I have Bukowski's words tattooed on my body too. So yeah.
I'm not ashamed. I'm not embarrassed.
You also have Billy Joel's words tattooed on your body. So
right.
Yeah.
I'm not ashamed or embarrassed. I'm not like saddened by it. No. I don't regret it. There's no regret there. Right. But the thought that these men never grew out of that,
right,
seems a little disappointing.
It's kind of sad. It makes me feel sad because Hunter S. shot himself in the fucking brain because he was sick and he was dying of a disease that he got by treating his body like shit for so long. Do you know what I mean? Kerouac died of complete fucking liver failure. Like he died throwing up blood in his mother's toilet. You know, like these men, you know, Bukowski had what, kidney cancer or something?
He had leukemia. He had blood cancer, although it's not due to alcoholism necessarily, but shit didn't help.
No, it definitely did not help, you know. Yeah, I mean, he could have been one of those people that was just built with a fucking constitution. You know, my grandfather's one of those. But all these guys we admired, though, I maybe I want to retract the statement of they sold me a shitty bill of sale, but I definitely look back on it and I'm like, yeah, this is like the time when I was in high school and dyed my hair green to freak out all the normals. You know what I mean? I just never grew out of that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To this day, I'm like, Megan, am I too normal? Like, it still bugs me. Like, I don't know what it is.
You know? No, you're not, Jerry. I promise.
I don't think I'm a fucking shit show, but a fun shit show.
Sure. So I know that, you know, when I said, hey, let's read this book and talk about it, and like, fucking homework assignment, god damn it.
I always feel like that, though. I still do.
No, I know. But I was kind of like, I don't know what was going to happen out of this conversation. Right. I really don't. And I just read it and I was like, isn't it interesting that somebody wrote a book about their alcoholism prior to there being any sort of recovery program?
That is interesting. Yeah.
So that there was that. I don't know if that's like if the Oxford group was around back then. I don't think so. I think that was still too fucking early.
They were in the 20s. Yeah.
You know, and so there was no or very little research being done about how to recover from these things. And so, I mean, I can only imagine that even through all of that denial and, you know, your whole life is shaped around, I have to be strong and I have to be a man and I have to drink hard and I have to fucking do all these things. Like, it must have been painful and exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah, it must have been. It must have been very tiring. Yeah.
I can't even imagine not having a resource and to go like 100 years into the future and being like, I guess I'm going to go check that Instagram meme page that makes me laugh about my fucking recovery.
About my recovery. Yeah, exactly. You know, yeah, exactly. It's a picture of like a turtle upside down. It's like that feeling you get when you black out after not going to a meeting or some shit. And I'm like, haha, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Have you ever thought about doing memes, Jerry? Like,
no. No, I've thought about it, but I know I can't do them.
Okay.
I'm like, what do I do? Find a picture of like Facts of Life and be like that face when you're fucking Arthur Drummond. Like, I can't. Like, no, I don't think like that. You know what I mean? I wish I could, because I know I can say things funny, but I can say things funny, right? I know I have a wit to me. I know because I've relied on it for you to get me things, but. Like the memes, I don't know. I can't. That's young people shit. I appreciate them, but I'm like, I ain't no Gen Z. I'm a boomer to them. I'm like an old fart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, whatever, Gen X. What did you guys do? Just made sarcasm cool, which is pretty much memes. You're welcome, kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just, I just think it's a trip to go 100 years, you know, between the two and look at the difference between what was acceptable then and what's acceptable now.
At the end of everything, it was worth it. It was a good read in that we had a good conversation out of it. So, you know, and I always will have resistance to be like, you ruined fucking, not you, but Jack London ruined himself for me. But, you know, that's like, I'm experiencing the book. So in the moment, I'm like, this motherfucker, like, relax, dude. Just accept what you are and fucking either handle it or don't. He didn't handle it. He couldn't accept what he was. You know?
Just relax. It was such a trip. Like, you know, he would talk John Barleycorn as a wizard dopester. You know, he would say shit like that.
Yeah.
That was another line. And then so he also talked about wanting to kill himself and I grew afraid of my revolver. I forgot all about that. Like, he had huge amounts of suicidal ideation. So of course, when the morphine comes at the end and you're dying of kidney failure, who wants to live that way?
Down. Yeah. That way. Yeah. Yeah.
But it was a good read. You know what I did too over the last couple of days is I listened to it on Audible.
So did I.
Yeah. But I put it at 1.3 speed, so I didn't have to sit.
I don't do that. Is it weird to listen to a book that fast? I think
1.5 is too fast, but 1.3 I mean, unless it's something you're really getting engrossed in. But I think
Mhm.
as far as this being something I had already read and was just reviewing,
Mhm.
1.3 was fine to get the gist of what was going on of something I had already
Just
read.
to get the, and his voice isn't helium. It's just a little pitch higher.
Just
So
a
you're
little
like,
bit,
"Ooh,
just a little
it's
bit.
in a hurry."
So would you suggest this book to somebody in recovery? Because I think this is a book my sponsor suggested to me, and I don't remember why, but I bought it like years ago and just never read it.
That's a good question. It depends on where their recovery's at.
Mm-hmm.
If someone in early recovery who's trying to figure out who they are as a person and the ropes, and not the ropes, but you know what I mean? Like try to get their head around what's happening to them, I wouldn't. But
No.
someone who's got probably more than 2 or 3 years and has their shit kind of a little more together, I probably would, just to be like, yo, check this out. This is what you could be. You know what I mean? If you didn't, this is what
Mm-hmm.
you could have been if you didn't get your shit together. But someone fresh, wet, out of the rain, smelling like wet cigarettes, all sad and shaky, I would not be like, yo, you need to read John Barleycorn. Yeah.
It's gonna make you sad. Yeah,
No. But
it's
a guy
true.
like you and I who have feel a little more confident in our recovery, I would be like, check this out, because this
Yes.
dude is fucking crazy.
It is not the book you need when you're, like you said, smelling like wet cigarettes.
Yeah.
When what you're looking for is some emotional comfort and stability, this is not the book.
No.
When you're interested in a intellectual exercise,
Right.
of comparison
Mhm.
between recovery now and recovery then yeah, I think that it's a fine book to eventually read as a
Fine
sober
book,
person.
right? Yeah. Mhm.
He wrote like 50, he published 50 books in the last like 15, 16 years of his life.
It's probably just sitting on all those manuscripts, you know.
So, I mean, you write
Writing
1,000
those
words a
1,000
day.
pages a day. Yeah, 1,000 words a day, not a pages.
Mhm.
That just is all fucking loaded. Like the last fucking 400 words.
God.
Goddamn, John.
But I think that's
God
it.
damn you, John Barleycorn. God damn you.
That's our review of Jack London's John Barleycorn.
Yeah. I don't know. If you're feeling like reading a bunch of denial, give it a go. I don't want to read it again, so I'm good.
I'll never read it again. I think
No.
you can find it. You might be able to find it for free on Overdrive, which is a library audiobook, or Kindle.
You can find it on YouTube too. As a matter of
That
fact,
too.
after I used an Audible credit on it, I was like, "Fuck! I could have listened to this on YouTube."
So
Yeah.
don't waste your money, but
Don't waste your money. I used the free credit from Audible though.
yeah.
And then the second free credit from Audible, I got The Stand. I read The Stand like a long time ago, and it's like a 47-hour book. So I'm like, fuck you, Audible, I got you. 47-hour book is mine. But then,
money's worth.
dude, reading The Stand in the middle of a pandemic is not a good idea. It makes it better, though. Yeah, it scares me.
I read it when I was really sick one time.
So did I.
I got the flu.
Mhm.
And so I was like, finally, because I think I'd had the book for like years on my shelf. It's one of these ones like I got from my dad or something. I took from his bookshelf when I moved out of the house, and I was like, The Stand by Stephen King, because that was cool in the 90s, and I had no idea why.
Yeah.
Until I got the flu one time and I read it, and I was like, oh Jesus, it's all about the super flu.
Still a pretty good book. He uses the N-word a lot. He like loves the N-word in that book. Like using characters who like to use the N-word. He's not just typing out the whole page of the N-word,
No.
but like, yeah. Anyway, so my recommendation for this month is don't read The Stand either, unless you really want to feel super uncomfortable. But I've been enjoying it while I paint.
There's lots of great recovery books. I've read This Naked Mind. Basically anything by Mishka Shubaly. And
yeah, Mishka's great. Mishka's books are very casual. I don't know if I can fuck with This Naked Mind. It seems like it'd be a little sterile.
It's a little sterile.
Dry.
It's a little clinical. It's a little dry. I read it. It's just a different approach, and that's the thing that I appreciated. I read it once. I'm not in love with all of it. Like I don't go back to it. I don't reread it. But I think it's definitely a different approach. If one approach is not working for you, go to the other. Right. And then somebody did reach out to me, and I messaged them back. But I just wanted to say, Mishka Shubaly's Cold Turkey, only on Audible, is a great resource for
awesome
people in early recovery. So
Mm-hmm.
it's all about the first 30 days, but who doesn't need those first 30 days 3 months into their recovery or
Who
a
does
year
it?
into their
Sometimes
recovery.
I still need those first 30 days now,
Right.
dude. Yeah.
So it's basically a great way to it's a great resource. It's a great what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of day by day plan for how to get
Yeah.
30 days. It's a good plan.
Yeah, good plan. Good guidebook.
You know, so there's lots of good resources out there. It's not just the one that everybody thinks, oh, there's only one way to do it.
You can only do it that one way.
Mhm.
No, there's other ways.
So
Just don't do it the John Barleycorn way.
no, don't.
That way it's not right.
It's really not.
No.
Oh,
I can honestly say that's incorrect.
That is incorrect. It did not work.
Does not work.
All right, Jerry.
Thanks again for listening. Our music, as always, is by Neglect. You can find more of his stuff at neglect.bandcamp.com.
And you can find us on all social media platforms that matter: Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And you can reach us at aisforalcoholic@gmail.com.
Talk to you later.
Yeah.